Okay, so we're going to make a C# indexer, and I think you'll find that it's pretty easy to do. So let's do File, New, choose Project. I'm going to do C# Console App, and click OK. Okay, so there's our console application. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the console right line and do a read key so the console stays open so that we can prove the compile while we're working. So let's do that. And I'm going to say start, and there's our OK. Now, you'll notice that it's a little small, a little hard to read. So what you do is you click here and you right click it, okay? And you do properties and you do font. And I'm going to change the font and make it bigger. And because I made the font bigger, the window is going to get really big now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the width. I'm going to make it 11.5 so that the window will stay smaller even though the font just got bigger. So next we're going to add a class. I'm going to call it Animal. So let's do that. And this class is going to contain the fields for our indexer, and it's going to be the fields for the list that gets pretty much indexed. So we're going to add two fields. First one we're going to add is public animal type, and that's going to be like a cat or a dog. And then next we're going to add an int, and we're going to make it public int legs, and that's the field that's going to tell us how many legs the animal has. And of course you'll notice that we're doing a get set. So this is like a property, and that will allow us to actually set this and read it, the data types. So let's give it a run to make sure everything's okay and everything will compile. We don't see the compiler complaining about anything, but I like to always just check the code. So we start it, and there's our OK. So everything's okay. Now we're going to add another class, and this class is going to be what holds the list and what we're going to actually index with the indexer. So let's make this class public class, and this is where we're going to work. So this class is going to use this and these fields. Okay, so in our class called MyAnimals, we're going to add a list, and we're going to make it private. So this is the list we're going to add, and you can see that it's coming from animal, and that's coming in. And we're going to call it animals, and so then we'll bring in it into the object. So animals will be the object that contains these fields. So these fields are coming into here. And let's give it a compile to make sure it's okay. I'm going to close the solution window because we don't need it. And let's give it a run. So there's our okay. So everything is okay up to this point. So next we're going to add a constructor. Okay. So as you know, the constructor name will match the class name. So there's our constructor. Okay. And inside the constructor, we're going to reference the fields and fill them. So I'm going to say animals, which is our new object, dot add new animal, of course, which is coming in from here, and animal type, which is this, equals cat, legs equals 4. So this object, this list, this new list object will now contain in those fields cat, and the legs will be 4. And we'll add another one, and we'll do it again for the next one. Except this one's going to be animals.add new animal. Animal type will now equal bird. So we're sort of making like a table, very similar. So animal type equals bird, and of course legs equals 2. Let's give it a compile just to make sure everything's okay, and we'll clean it up a little bit. Okay. so that we can see it better on the screen, and also so the code is more readable. So let's give it a start. Okay, so the compile is good. Okay, so let's add the indexer. Okay, so we're going to add public animal, this, and this is the start of the indexer, and then we're going to put it in brackets. And so we're going to say this in brackets, string in animal. Okay, and then we're going to put a get in there. And the reason I'm putting the get in there right now, and I'm going to return a null with it, is just so we can get a compile. Because again, I like to stay close to the compile. Okay, so we should run, and let's give it a try. Okay, so this is actually the indexer right there. That's it right there. So it references this, and it's going to run off of in animal, which is going to come in, and then we're going to work in here, and we're going to check what has been entered. And since this is actually coming in as this, we can actually do the animal type or the legs here. So it's switchable. So let's put the indexer logic in here, because the indexer is actually going to index this class, and we're going to look through this, and we're actually going to be able to search inside the class. So let's add that. Okay, so we're going to say for each, we're going to replace this, we'll leave the return null there. I'm going to say for each animal A, so we're going to loop through it, and we're dynamically saying search for A, and if you take a look, for each A in animals. So this for each knows that this A in animals is this or this. Okay, so we're going to be searching for a string. So right now this function here is going to be dedicated towards being a string. So then we're going to say, as part of the loop, we're going to say if a.animalType equals the animal that's coming in, okay, which is this in animal, which is a string, and they're equal, we're going to return A, because we're returning what we found. Okay, now so we have to get rid of this, and let's check the compile, and we're okay. Okay, so that's it. So this will actually, this is the indexer, and we'll actually loop through, and if it finds the animal we're asking for, it will return what it found. Okay, so for this first part, we're pretty much done. The indexer is built, and you can see how simple it is. So let's do a little cleanup, and we'll just make sure that as we just did our little cleanup, that we haven't broken anything. Okay, and that makes it nice and readable, and we give it a run, and everything's okay. Okay, so let's consume this from the main, and you'll see here we have our console that's writing, and so we're going to actually search for something and write it to here. So I'm going to say we have to reference the my animals. Okay, and this is of course is referencing this class. I'm going to copy it into an object here. I'm going to call it my animal list equals new my animals. Okay, so there we have it, and we're actually taking this and getting it into an object so that we can actually work with it. Okay, so now that our class is coming into this object, so it's new my animals, which is my animals, and so we're actually putting it into this object right here. We can actually use this object now, and you'll see that when we come here, we use a bracket, and there you can see in animal, and you can actually see it. So now the IntelliSense is seeing it, is actually seeing the indexer. So what we're going to do is we're going to reference, and we're going to say, okay, let's get birds and let's get the legs. So we're going to come down here and we're going to pass into here bird. And so bird is going to be searched for. We're going to search through the list, and when we find bird, we're going to return the object, which will then give us the legs. Okay, because when it returns, it's going to return everything, and then we're going to get the legs. So let's actually write this out. And I'll say, just to let us know, because we're going to do a little bit more. So we're going to say plus legs. Okay, so just clean up a little bit, and we'll do a compile, just to make sure the syntax is okay. Okay, 2 legs. We'll give it a space here, and then we have 2 legs. Now if we change this to cat, we now get 4 legs. Okay, so one of the points of this is that one of the things that the indexer does is shorten this, so you don't have to make a function and call the function, which would then make this like dot get blah blah blah. So this way you can just, it's very short, and now it's switchable as well. So we're going to do that. We're going to make it switchable, and now we'll search on legs and return the animal type. Okay, so now we're searching on the animal type by passing in the cat. Now we want to search by passing in the legs. So we're going to copy this, and the legs are an int. So we're going to change this to int. Okay, and now we're going to say look through the legs, and if you find it, you're going to return what we found. So if we do a 2, we do a 4, then we'll return cat or bird, because we're returning both of these, but we're just returning the one record because that's the record that we actually found. Okay, so now we have these 2 indexer parts that we can search by the string, and now we can search by the int, and we'll search through the legs, and then we'll return the record that we find. So if we do 4, we should return cat. So let's change this in the main. Okay, now this now will become, let's say 4. Okay, and we'll want to return the animal type, and we'll just say type. Okay, so there it is. Let's give that a run. And now when we search for 4 and we loop through it, okay, we should find the 4, legs equals 4. We're going to return A, and then we're going to print the animal type. So let's give that a run. And there it is. The type found was cat, of course, because the cat has 4 legs. So that's it. That's a basic introduction to C# indexers.